Good morning, everybody. I know this is sort of like a unexpected video, but I was just walking my dog and I was praying and I was led to do this video. So here I am. Here I am. The thing about today's topic is that it's one that I would like to say. Um, I would like to say that it is hot off the press because it is. So, as I was actually before I was walking my dog, I was preparing like a shake, breakfast shake, and the spirit began to talk to me about um, the song "I Would Do a New Thing in You" and doing new things in people, and what does that mean? And for the most part, a lot of people think it's oh, God's going to do something for me like He's never done before. And, you know, I used to not have a lot of money. Now I'm going to have a lot of money. They think of the materialistic things. It's very seldom that you would think that you would come across somebody who think about spirituality, spiritual gifts, spiritual things of the spirit by the spirit. And so then immediately he began to deal with me about the children. I said, okay. So parents, if your child, I'm here to tell you today, if your child starts acting different from their norm, don't think it is something in the natural world that is happening. Uh, just watch, just listen, wait for them to kind of share some things because they're going to start asking some, not all, are going to start asking you questions that's going to make you think. They're going to start bringing up conversations that's going to make you scratch your head because you don't know as a parent. And that's okay. I'm just preparing you. Um, they're going to start acting weird. And even when I got to that point, the Spirit began to remind me of how, as a child myself, there were things that I would do that it seemed odd, it seemed strange, and in the good words of my grandmother, it seemed queer uh, to um, to a lot of people, but they didn't understand where I was coming from, and because they didn't understand, and I had this understanding beyond understanding. Catch what I'm throwing out there. I didn't understand why they couldn't understand, right? But you taught me this. And it's very equivalent to when Jesus was a child. I'm not trying to say that I am nowhere like Jesus. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying the experience. So whenever Jesus was like 12, 13, and he and his mom and his dad, his earthly father, let me put it that way, were leaving, and he stayed behind. And Mary and Joseph could not find him, and they became upset with him. They was like, and this is not like him. Like he normally is an obedient child. He's usually with us. Like why would he just go off like this? And so they're looking, mind you, if memory serves me correct, because I didn't read the scripture this morning. I told you this is hot off the press. Um, Mind you, how do you miss a child leaving a city, going into another city before you realize that your child is missing? I, that's one thing, but that's not what I'm here to discuss. But whenever they go back to the town, they find Jesus and the temple, and he's talking with the elders at the time. And, they're like scolding him, and he's looking at them like, well, what's wrong with you? You should be glad to find me in the temple with the elders. You should be glad that I'm out here, I'm in the church and not out here doing God knows what. Where you going to scold me for this? For leaving you to study more about him? Lady, I'm about my father's business. Leave me alone. Um, that's how some of your children is getting ready to talk with you. And don't scold them, right? Because they're going to start doing things like never before or never before for you. And understand when there's a newness happening, newness doesn't always mean it's going to happen for you in a sense of um, for gain. But newness can happen to you for your growth. Um, and even if you are a parent and you're thinking some new things, it's meant to happen. It's not meant to put you in an anxious mode. And yes, you're right in keeping it to yourself because not everybody will be able to grasp and understand where God is trying to take you in this time in your life, in this season of your life, the season of your life. Because people like to say this is the season of this, and it could be the season for them and not necessarily everybody else. So we're gonna go ahead and call a thing a thing. It the season of your life, because don't try to incorporate me with your season if God is not telling you that that thing is for me, because I'm going to be expecting some things in that season that's not going to happen because that's not my season. And then I get angry with God based off of the words that you tell me. So now we have a whole problem, and people start missing the mark for themselves because they're looking for one thing in the wrong season. It's almost like they're looking for pumpkins in in spring. They're looking for it just started raining. I'm sorry. Got caught off guard for a second. It's like they're looking for apples and oranges to start blooming in the middle of winter. And we know that those things are not so. Um, So that is why you have to understand which season that you are in. That's why there's different seasons in different parts of the world. Like right now, we're coming to the end of summer and to the beginning of fall, but for some countries, it is the beginning of spring for them or the beginning of summer for them. We are all not the same. Shut up. They're not like us. I really heard that. But it's we're not the same. So understand that when you're going through a new season, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same rhetoric. It's not going to be the same tongue. I remember when I had my set of tongues. I was like, "Ooh, baby, filled with the Holy Spirit. Yes, let's do this." And then I started speaking other tongues, and I said, "What is this?" I've spoken in Asian tongues and sometimes I can't even place. And I said, "Well, hey, as long as I connecting with you, I'm good." And I even remember I did something. So I have indigenous roots, right? And so I said, I'm just gonna see if something works, you know. And I started. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Baby got caught up. I even felt something right then. I'm not even gonna hold you. I got caught up for hours. And I said, wow. So, whatever you got to do to tap in with the spirit, it may be strange to other people, but baby, if that works for you, you do that thing because that thing is for you. If you got to change your diet, if you're being led to change your diet, if you're being led to dress a certain way, if you're being led to do things a certain way because it's out of the norm for other people around you, you got to block them out because that thing is what's going to work for you. That thing is what's going to help you through some things. That thing is going to help you get over some things. There's some things that you want to see in your life to happen, and they will not happen if you're operating in someone else's garments. I often use this for this type of talk. I always use how, David, Saul tried to give David his armor to wear to fight Goliath, and it just did not work for him. It is that same thing. It is that same essence. You can't put on everybody else's garments and expect it to work for you because why? It was not tailor made for you. And right now, God is tailor making some things just for you in your household. So yes, your child might ask you some questions and you may not have the answers, but it's going to stir you up. It's going to gear you up. It's going to push you to to uh, to do some research. It's going to push you to make you want to understand or know what is that answer. And you may even have to go to someone else to ask them, like, what is this? Like my child asked me this, how do I respond? How do I answer? And that might be a push or a place where your leader, your pastor, your husband, your wife is they're having those same thoughts, and it's just like wow, with you bringing the conversation up, it's now three people exposed in your household. It's now three people or multiple people, right? Um, Exposed to the same question, and God is dealing with you all on this same, I like to call it wave. And with you all dealing with the same wave, you now all have the same questions. Okay, if this be so, then how is this? And if this has come to be, now what? And God will start revealing these things to you. But you have to understand that you have to break away from that old mindset. Like we're so a lot of people are so quick to talk about that religious spirit and the religion. Now if I've been in your presence and you're talking about it, I'm not talking about you. Because I know that there's several people that's been around me that's talked about religious spirits and they are accurate, right? But I would say this for those of you who are always talking about the religious spirit, but don't realize that you're operating in the religious spirit. That's who I'm talking about. Because there's a lot of people that often talk about things that they're doing, and they say, "Oh man, I can't stand to do this and da 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 da." Da. And I dislike when we go here and we do this and da 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 da. And if you're not in the church, right? Let's be real. I have a lot of people that watch these things. If you're not in the church like that, but you're one to say, "Oh, I dislike people who smoke cigars," but yet every now and then you got to have you a cigar. Baby, you're talking about yourself. In this new area that I'm in, I have come across so many people that say, "Oh, I would never do this. Like I don't understand why people do X, Y, and Z, or I don't understand how people could do X, Y, and Z and think that that it's okay." And then I have witnessed them do it, and I'm like, "Do you not realize that you're operating in that same function, that same character that you say that you highly despise?" So that let me know that you dislike yourself. So that lets me know that there's some things that you have to deal with within yourself. And so that's what God is trying to take everybody is to deal with things that we're not dealing with so that we can move it out the way. so that God can do this new thing in us, so that God can produce us and push us forward. And we can't do these things. Hello, people, wake up. Good morning. Get your cup of Joe. Get your biscuit, your ham and cheese biscuit, okay? Sit down and sit with this. How can somebody do something new for you if you're operating in an old system? Our computers have to go through updates. Our phone goes through updates. We have to be trained on new policies and new procedures almost every day, you know, depending on where you are and where you work. There's always something new. Even in the restaurant industry, there are things that new sandwiches, new drinks coming about, and you got to know how to make them. You got to make sure you have all the right ingredients, and there's prep work in the newness, right? And so for some people, there's been some you've been seeing things, you've been hearing things, maybe even experienced some things, and that was your prep work. And so now when God starts to actually doing the thing in you, now you're like, oh wait, I won't prepare for this. No, you've been prepared. You've been very seriously and quite much prepared. You just don't think that you're prepared because you weren't paying attention. You weren't as attentive to the things that was happening around you. And so now when God is equipping you to do these things, or no, now when God has equipped you to do these things, and now He's telling you to go forth, you feel like you're not prepared. God's like, I've been preparing you this whole entire time. Did you not understand when I had that young lady to curse you out and you didn't say anything, you just looked, and then you went home and prayed? You don't think you thought that was you ill prepared? No, sweetie. Do you remember where I came and got you from? Do you remember how I had to clean up your mouth? Because at a drop of a dime, you would curse that person back and the people that they were with, whether or not they were involved or not. Do you remember not swinging at that person? Because you used to be a fighter. And if anybody said a ounce, a half an ounce of a wrong thing to you, you was swinging first and asking questions later. And the fact that you're not in jail right now, the fact that you have not gotten a lawsuit because you broke somebody's face or damaged their property because of your anger and attitude, you don't think that I was preparing you for this? No, I'm preparing you for this. I have prepared you for this. And now you are ready to handle the things that you're supposed to in this season. So I'm just here to remind you, here to tell you that it is okay to embrace the newness, no matter how strange or how weird or how funny it feels. It is meant for you. A lot of people may not understand you. A lot of people may leave you and disregard you, but that's okay because when it's time to separate, and I'm going to repost a video next week on an older video that I did called Separating the Wheat from the Weeds. Bless me. But in a time of separation, it's meant for you. Why? Because where God is trying to take you and where God is taking you is going to be so different for a lot of you that you can't be around people that you know. You can't be around. It's you have to get away. Like he had to send Paul to the island of Patmos, and now granted, he was sent there as a charge, but we all know God. It was in God's plan, right? We all know that just like Joseph had to be separated his family to get greatness. We all know the story of Moses and how he had to be separated on the mountain several times, actually, for 40 days and 40 nights to get away from people. And that's where God is trying to take a lot of people is that he's like, I'm trying to separate you so that when you get to that place that I want you to be in, when you get to that era of your life where you have been called, where I have chosen and spoken for you to be, I want you to understand that whatever happens during this time, it was meant for you so that you can grow a lot more. Not just experience new things, but so that for your growth, right? And when we grow, new things start to happen. And I'm not gonna sit up here and say that all growth is pretty. Let's be real. Sometimes growth can be real ugly and nasty, and you just like, what in the world am I going through? But when you get to the end of that process, it's just like, was there any other way that you could have taken me through this? Was there any other way to teach me? And God's like, no, because I knew you could handle it. Plus, we had this conversation before you was even sent to earth. And then yet again, that's another conversation that we will have. But catch it. Because when somebody tells you that they know you, it's not that they seen you once or twice and can tell you who you with. And no, when somebody says that they know you, that means you spent time with each other. You had a chance to commune with each other. So when you say, "Oh, I know that person," you know that person. There's a difference between knowing of someone and knowing someone. So I'm not here before you long. I just wanted to share with you the new things that God is taking you. Wanted you know to understand that the things that you are going through or about to go through or that your children are going through, it is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a new thing. So watch out for those new things. Excuse me. Watch out for those new things and understand that in this season of your life, I'm hearing some of you are going to grow so fast that it's going to scare other people. It's like you go to sleep, and this is just an analogy. This is just an analogy, right? Or an example. It's like you go to sleep with red hair and uh, red hair and I don't know, and your natural nails, and you wake up with blonde hair, blue nails, and you like, what is this? What did I wake up to? Did somebody play a prank on me? Ooh, I couldn't get that out. What's going on? Did somebody paint my nails? And it's like, no, this is you. No, this is who you are now. It's gonna be that drastic. It's gonna be that drastic of a change in your life. And people are gonna start asking questions, but let them ask. And all you can say is, baby, just ask the man upstairs. Why this change is happening? Don't ask me about anything. I'm just living it. I'm going through it, but I have no explanation for it. I don't know why I just heard made by Mattel. And it's like, Mattel used to make these got you. Okay. Spirit just clarified that. So, because like I said, it just said Spirit said made by Mattel, and it's like, Okay, so if you notice that with Mattel back in the day, they used to put their stamp on the bottom of the toys or somewhere on the toy, and it's like the toy, they're not created self. The toy is just like, I am here. I am made. I just do what I do for the child. You play with me how you play with me. I don't understand myself. I was just made this way with the stamp of approval. And Spirit is saying, like, this is, Spirit is saying that this is how He's making you right now with the stamp of approval. So people can say, well, why you do this or why you do that? Why you say that? Why you say that? With the stamp of approval. No explanations needed. It just is. It is what it is. Okay? So you all, like I always tell everybody, don't try to be, don't think about, don't question, don't try to strategically plan how to be. Just go out there and be blessed. You all have a good rest of your day, good rest of your weekend. And I'll talk with you later. Bye bye.